Mark, he was so lighthearted.
Hey, you shouldn't have left the change up over the plate.
Yeah, literally first thing he said was, you're gonna be back. You're gonna pitch again. And I just knew that I was gonna come back. I wasn't. After he said that, I was like, because something like that some players just be like, I can't play anymore. I can't pitch anymore.
Hello and welcome to Catching You, a dad and daughter softball journey. I'm Rusty, a dad who's been in the dugout and on the sideline.
And I'm Lacie, the daughter whose journey through softball has been filled with incredible wins, tough losses, and so many lessons both on and off the field.
For the past 16 years, we've navigated the highs and lows of softball together, from the local fields to national tournaments and everything in between.
From the challenges of recruitment during COVID to the mental and emotional roller coaster that comes with being a student athlete, we will be sharing the perspectives of both a parent and athlete and firsthand experience of the impact of sports on mental health and the importance of support from the sidelines.
Welcome back, everyone, to Catching You. I am your co-host, Rusty Ham. With me is my other co-host, Lacie Ham, and we have a surprise guest. My wife, Lacey's mom, Emily. Emily, say hi.
Hello.
Lacie, say hi.
Hi, parents.
How is my daughter? 21-year-old daughter now.
21.
I just turned one.
Yeah, so talk about Sunday. Let's talk about Sunday. What was Sunday?
Sunday was my 21st birthday. So we had a game in Davis, and it was our first win of the season, and I got to pitch the whole game. And you guys came up with Jesse, and it was super fun.
Yeah.
And we went out to dinner and had a little surprise when I came home with my friends, and it was super fun.
Yeah, it was a great game. 2-2, bottom of 7. They overthrow. The girl goes on second. We sack bunt her over to third, and then Shay hit the single to win the game. So it was a pretty exciting game. Then we were able to get to San Jose for the second half of the Super Bowl. So we saw that. That was pretty cool.
Yep, Usher in the halftime show.
Yep. My wife, Emily, is here. She's going to give us her perspective on Lacey's growth through the softball journey. When I was throwing the ball back hard at Lacie back in the day and her reaction, and then her reaction to her going to Mark's team. But first, Lacie, I wanted to ask you, we got a question from a listener. And I want you to answer this question. It's from Micah. And Micah says, can you possibly do an episode about being in a pitching slump, which maybe you can talk about Friday?
This weekend.
Yeah. And then how to not be scared on the mound, which coincides what we're going to talk about when you come back from your injury here. But can you talk about those two questions there?
Yeah, I could probably talk about being the scared part after, later.
Okay.
At the pitching slump, I actually did horrible on Friday. And I was serving up pitches like they were dessert platters. They were just hitting it so hard, and I was walking people. But for a slump, I think I would define it as a long-term doing or performing not your best for a longer period of time, which is what happened last year, especially when I get to conference, something clicks in my head and says, hey, let's just not know how to pitch. I remember going to New Mexico and pitching in freezing cold temperatures, trying to spin the ball, and I felt like I could not do it. And New Mexico is always our first series. So after that, I was really freaking myself out and really tried working that week on what to fix. And then we played Colorado State the next weekend, and I still could not pitch a strike. But I think I've mentioned this in, like, past episodes, I find I get the best, like, feedback, especially if you're practicing with a team for a long time, you get the best feedback when you go out and work out by yourself. So that we always have Mondays off, so I went to the field on Monday, the following Monday after Colorado State, and I pitched in the cages for 2 hours. And I just did my regular drills that I always do, and I slowed things down, and I focused on the little things, and then we played Fresno State that next weekend, and I pitched a whole 7 innings, and I was striking people out left and right, and my pitches were working, and I was back to my regular self. So it really took that one workout by myself to change my mindset.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hopefully Micah gets some nuggets out of that. Define freaking out. What do you mean by freaking out? And you're in a slump and you're
Oh.
freaking out. What does that mean?
Like, with a slump, it's hard to explain the feeling of forgetting how to hit or forgetting how to pitch or forgetting how to feel the ball. It just happens, and you don't know why, and sometimes the slump can progress because of that like, your freaking out mindset, "Oh my god, I forgot how to play. I forgot how to do this."
Mhm.
But it really just if there's a bad game, like how I did on Friday, I went in Saturday morning and I did this mental imagery meditation that morning in the before breakfast that my sports psychologist sent me last year,
Mhm.
and you visualize your best games that you played. So I was visualizing last year when I pitched against Fullerton, when I pitched against Fresno,
Mhm.
and I was visualizing, like, how my body felt, how my mind felt, how the environment was, and that kinda puts you in the zone of where you wanna be in your upcoming game. So Saturday, I did better than I did on Friday. Not as well as I wanted to still, but then I got to Sunday, and I'm in this groove now where I'm comfortable with being out in a game setting and pitched all 7 innings.
Yeah, and your changeup was on fire. And listen, you got a new pitching coach too, so you're getting
Yeah.
used to what his pitch calling and stuff like that. So great job, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Great job on the win. I don't know how to is it Emily, my wife, how do or Emily's mom or
Lacey's mom.
Lacey's mom? How do I describe it? Anyway,
You can call her, "Okay,
What?
here's my wife," and then I say, "Oh, then"
oh,
yeah.
okay. Let's go back to let's say first year 12s and Lacey's pitching on the side and I'm throwing the ball back as hard as I can to her because she's missing her spots. My body language is just absolutely horrible and dropping my head and moping, having to go get the ball across the street. And then she comes to you, and I'm sure she came to you a couple times, but just kind of describes that her coming to you and then describe like the meltdown that she had at the kitchen
Well,
table.
I don't know if you guys ever knew, I would peek through the window shades
Oh, I would see it. I would see it all the time.
and watch you guys pitch. So I would see your body language. I would see Lacey's frustration. I would see you having to go through the gate and walk across the street and get the balls. I wouldn't always watch you because I wouldn't want to see your body language.
Right.
I wouldn't want to see Lacey getting upset. But when she came in and talked to me and telling me about how you were acting, I go, I believe I said, you need to go talk to your dad. You need to go tell him how you feel. You need to speak up. You need to be honest and tell him you're not helping the situation.
I
So
wasn't.
back on her to tell you, because I'm not sitting there catching, I'm sitting here seeing you react to her and I'm seeing her reacting to you. And that was not a good combination. I thought it was important for her to go back and talk to you and tell you how you really felt. And I think that's when it came to the kitchen table.
'Cause it's hard for me to express my feelings without crying.
So the kitchen
So
table was a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but it was awesome because you obviously needed mom support, so mom was at the kitchen table too. But it was super cool for you to express how you were feeling. And I described in I think maybe it was last episode that 9-year-old that was crying because she didn't know who to She wanted to listen to her travel coach, and then she wanted to listen to her pitching coach, and she was crying after, and I'm like, you should not be crying. And you were crying because I was not acting appropriate as a father.
It's like an act of, like, confrontation, and I didn't really have any experience with that when I was that age.
Right. Yeah, you didn't know how
Especially
to handle it. So
no.
I appreciate you, doing that, because then I changed, I backed off, and I think our relationship has grown since then. So we're on Chris's team. We're in these we're going to these really big tournaments, intense tournaments. Where would you watch the games? You have the parents that they have the beach chairs right behind right by the fence. Where were you when these games were going on?
I think every pitcher's mother and or father does the same thing, maybe a little bit different, but I would go hide.
Wanna watch.
I would go hide behind a pole. I would go hide behind a bathroom. I would sometimes go out in the outfield and hide behind the fence, or I would walk along wherever our dugout was while you were pitching. And like I would walk and I'd be like, "Okay." And then I walk and I'd be like, okay, or I'm this, or I'm
Yeah,
that.
probably.
So were you just nervous for her, or what? Like,
Just, nervous for her because like I'm a fixer. I'm a helper.
yeah,
Couldn't help her. I couldn't fix anything. I just had to, I don't know, send off some sort of good vibes. Like, come on, Lacie, you can do it. Come on. No, please throw a strike. Please throw a strike. Please don't walk this girl. Please don't walk this girl.
Or, like, because sometimes there would always be times where, say, mom, you would take me to tournaments and daddy would stay home with Jesse or opposite. Sometimes my mom would be with these intense games, but she's the only one there and my dad's not there. So sometimes I'd be like on the mound. Sometimes you want to like look for your parents or see where they are. And I'm like, "Okay, where's my mom?" And then I would pitch it and then I'd look for her again and she's hiding behind the bathroom stall or the concession stand. And I'm like, what
right.
is
If there was a brick bathroom structure, she would hide behind the corner.
yeah.
Well, I remember some very intense games, especially like I remember with Christine LaPena and it was Kansas City. And it was when M hit that winning hit. We were both on back behind the fence on right side, just watching it all unfold. And she hit it, and we were just like, I really picked her up because she's like
Small.
I think that was on a number of occasions where we were out in the outfield and I picked her up and we were just so excited.
So on that note, speaking of parents, so describe our relationship with parents. I've talked to you about a couple of parents on the team, but that was pretty cool times, right? With Chris's team. So describe your relationship with some of these parents.
They're lifelong. We're still friends with many of those parents. We're still in contact. Veronica and Lenny, Tatiana's parents, still friends with Christine and Gabe Bonilla. We've got Candace and Billy Moyer, Chris and Katrina. We've got Facebook friends with This' parents. And then there's like people like Moy, friends with him on Facebook.
License, yeah,
Dad, and it's her birthday today. And then from the 12s to 14s, we're still friends with a lot of people on the 14s.
that's right.
So we lose contact. We're not seeing each other as often, but I don't think we're ever going to lose those memories. We're never going to lose Kansas City. We're never going to lose Tennessee, Kaylin. We're never going to lose PGF memories,
Right.
Stockton memories, even back to All Stars with Chris and you bringing your cleats and me having to go to Dick's. There's just some really good memories that we have together because of softball.
Yep.
Those things I'll cherish forever.
Very cool. Yeah. So let's transition then. You said 14. So we get the call from Mark, right? We're camping. I don't know if you remember that. We were camping. Get the call from Mark that he wants us on their team. What were your thoughts of, because we're getting split up now, right? We're on this, we were talking about the 12s and how awesome it was. Now we're getting split up. So what were your thoughts on moving to the 14s and being on this team?
I was excited for Lacie because we knew that's what the plan was, but I also was very sad because I knew that there were people that were not coming with us. I was worried about how they were feeling because I'm sure they're thinking, why aren't we playing for Mark? Why isn't my daughter playing for Mark? How come she wasn't asked to play for Mark? My daughter played with Lacie for 3 years. That was really difficult. I didn't want to see us split apart. I wish that they did keep everybody together, but I knew that they had a plan and we had to stick to that plan for Lacie. And it was hard. It was definitely not easy. It was not easy going to that 14s team with a bunch of different parents that we didn't know. And we came to know them and we came together. And I was terrified of Mark.
He's a little intimidating. It's okay.
He's just a little intimidating, yes. But man, that team, he was an amazing coach and he knew exactly what he wanted out of you. And we knew what he wanted out of parents, what parents he wanted and what parents he didn't want. And he was just flat out, he'll tell you right there. There was no fluff. It was straight, hard, go, this is what I want type deal. And it was hard to adjust to that. Chris was like that too. But I always felt like Mark had this big, giant, like he was the statue of softball, 14U coach, and you didn't want to do anything wrong. I was always afraid to go talk to him.
Yeah, because 14s at the time, when Lacie and I talked about it, was at that time, first year 14s, they were getting recruited.
Yeah.
Right. And so the pressure was on these 8th graders to perform and have these Power 5 colleges look at them. And so I know you and I as a parents were like, oh my God, that is a lot of pressure. So we get the second year 14s. So we skate through first year 14s. I think a couple girls on that team got recruited. So we're now second year 14s, right? You've gone through fall. You did really well pitching with Mark, and you and Liv were kicking butt. I think Lex Gorvero's on that team too as well. You take the winter break, you come back. You are now in high school. You're a freshman. You didn't get a lot of innings because you were behind Autumn Pease, who eventually went to Minnesota and became a professional. So innings were very scarce, right?
Yeah.
And then you get back to practicing after high school's over and Father's Day rolls around. And so describe what happened on Father's Day.
Yeah. So we have practice on Father's Day, of course, because there's no days off. And we're leaving for New Jersey the next day or the day after. So we have to get a practice in, of course. And at first, Mark says, we're just going to keep it simple today. We're going in the cages and then you guys can go. Us pitchers are like, all right, we're just going to help out around the cages, maybe do some soft toss, and then we're out of here. So after the cages, he goes, you know what? I think we need to get some live hitting in. Me and Liv are like, I thought we were done. This is crazy. Now we got to go warm up and all this stuff. So I remember warming up with Liv, and then Liv pitched first, like a few batters, and then it was my turn. And I don't know how many batters I did before or anything, but one of my teammates comes up. She is now at Baylor University.
Let's backtrack. She was on our 10U
Yeah.
travel team. And then she went to, remember SoCal 3D? Remember she went to SoCal 3D?
Yeah.
Which was another favorite team of ours, right? Because we love those coaches. But she used to play for us.
Yeah.
She left, and then now she's back with Bat Busters and Mark. She got recruited by Arizona. Remember that? And then she transferred to Baylor. So go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So she's now at Baylor. This team's pretty close too. Like it's a close comparison to Chris's team. I'm close with a lot of the girls. And so this is the days where wearing a mask was not cool. It's definitely more recently that girls are like, I'm going to wear a mask and actually wanting to wear a mask. In our organization, if you wore a mask, you were weak, so to say. So none of us wore masks. And I wasn't wearing one. I was just wearing a visor. And I could just feel in we did not want to pitch live. So in my mentality, I'm like, all right, so I'm just going to try and work on my spins and my pitches. But I throw a change up inside to my teammate. And she rips that thing right back at me. and my reaction time, I don't know how fast it was coming at me, but pretty fast. Didn't really react very well. I throw my glove up, but I turn my head to the side, to the right, and I kinda don't really remember it hitting me, but I remember my vision going kinda like brown, not necessarily like black, but kinda like brown, and then it's like my ears are ringing, and I can hear Mark. Like, literally, the only person I hear is Mark, and he's telling me to, like, sit down. "Lace, sit down. Lace, sit down." And then I black out, and then no, before I blacked out, I felt my nose was really cold. So I remember, like, stumbling around, and then I wipe my nose, and I look down, and finally I see blood on my nose or on my hand, and then I black out. And then I wake up to my mom is holding me, and I'm on the floor, and I have these firefighters just, like, looking at me, and they're trying to ask me questions, and they ask me what day it is, and I say Father's Day. I have no idea. I just say Father's Day. And they're asking me what year it is. I don't know. I remember my name, thankfully, but the date, I just say Father's Day. I don't really remember the rest of that. And then I have the neck brace on, but we can cut to mom's perspective.
Yeah. So you're there at practice, right? Just probably chilling with the other parents.
Know exactly what I was doing.
Yeah.
You gave me the day off, right? Because I normally take Lacie to practices. And so you're like, I don't know, you stay home. It's Father's Day. I'll take her. So what were you doing?
I was standing up and I was talking to another mom, and we were on our phones, like looking up restaurants on Yelp for New York. I mean, where we were going. I remember and looking through, and all of a sudden I hear a pop, and I see Lacie get hit. And from there I dropped my phone and I sprinted to that mount. I did not care what was going on. I went straight to her. I do remember Mark yelling to sit down. And as soon as I got there, I caught her and I laid her back on me. I do remember blood coming out of your nose, but it wasn't red blood. It was like dark. It was like dark brown.
In my ears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember a parent calling 911. I remember seeing Mark sprint. I've never seen Mark run to open up the gate to allow the fire trucks and the ambulance to come to the field. I remember, I think somebody called you. The parent called you, Rusty, field, told you what happened. Ambulance came. They were asking you questions and such. And then they said, Mom, do you just want to drive her yourself to the hospital? Do you really even think she needs to go to the hospital?
They asked you that? The blood coming out of her nose and ears, and they're asking you.
Anything was wrong. They didn't think anything was wrong. And I'm like, my daughter just got a line drive to the temple of her head. She's going. Take her in the ambulance. You're going to the hospital.
I do remember thinking I got hit right here, but I turned my head. It was behind my ear.
Behind here. So it was literally right above your ear.
Yeah.
Because what you did is like you pitched and then you went up to get to catch it.
Yeah.
But either you were too late or too early and you turned.
Yeah.
It hit right back here.
Yeah. I remember the pain being in like my temples though. I'm like, oh my God, like it hit me or like my face. I don't know what I was thinking, but
yeah. At first I was like, I didn't know what to think. I couldn't process it. And then the emergency medic said, I don't know if she might have a concussion. She might not. They didn't take it very seriously. So I'm like, no, my daughter's going to the hospital. I didn't ride in the ambulance with you because I had in my car. So I scooped up all my stuff. All the parents were like, we'll get it all for you. Followed you to the ambulance. We went to the hospital that Mark's wife worked at. I remember him saying, I'm going to call my wife right now, letting them know that Lacie's coming. And then I can't knock back.
It's okay. Yeah. So we took her to ICU. So you're in there for
Emergency. It was
emergency, but then you got transferred to ICU for.
the emergency part was the biggest part. That's when she started to feel it.
Mm.
That's
Yeah.
my head hurts. It hurts really bad.
Yeah, I started
Growing up
and
like dark, like
yeah,
bile. It was like blood
yeah.
in your stomach. And then they took you for an x-ray.
Well, Amber came.
Yeah. Your
She
team
came and seen me. She was the first to see me. She was in shambles.
her mom and her.
Yeah.
'Cause it was an accident, 100%. There was
Maybe
there was nothing that could have prevented it.
yeah.
Like,
Maybe I
did wear a mask.
okay. So if I did wear a mask,
It wouldn't
it's
help.
it would have hit me in the same spot because my reaction time, we can talk about this in a later episode, but now I feel like more now when I pitch and I can see it going over the plate maybe a little bit. My glove immediately goes up like this.
Oh,
So
when you know you miss a spot, you're
if my change up's like hanging a little bit, I go like this with my hand.
so
I remember because Amber came before, and then I'm just like, I'm just laying there trying not to throw up, obviously. And I have an ice pack on my head. After getting a 100-mile-per-hour line drive to the head, I have an ice pack. And I get the X-ray or a CAT scan, I thought it was.
No, you didn't take a CAT scan in the ER. It was
Yeah, and then I remember I don't remember, like, did the doctor pull you aside? I don't remember. Yeah. The doctor pulled my mom.
and then I had to come in and talk to you.
Yeah. And then she knelt down to me crying, saying that I was going to have surgery because I was going to have brain surgery because I had internal bleeding
Hematoma.
and that a hematoma. And that's why my nose was bleeding and that's why my ears were bleeding. So that's when it all hit a little differently.
Yep. And that's when, so the nurse told me and I lost it.
Yeah.
I was there by myself. I had to call your dad. Lacey's going to have brain surgery. You need to get here now.
I was on the porch drinking coffee,
Yeah.
and I get that, and I'm like, oh, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the nurse, she's going to be transferred to a very good children's hospital in Long Beach. They took care of everything. I remember calling Cynthia Flexen and telling her, and we were bawling together. I think I followed you in the ambulance. And I think that's when I called Mima Papa and I called Grandma to let them know. And at that point, I was just like, what is going to happen? What is going to happen to my daughter? They're going to shave her head. She's going to have brain surgery. Oh my God. I didn't know. I was in pure panic mode. Then we got to, I think it was Long Beach Children's.
They rolled me in. They were trying to keep me calm in the ambulance. I really didn't know what to expect. Yeah, I don't remember much. The ambulances creep me out now. I don't really like going in like ambulances. But we go in, they take a CAT scan. I go in and take a CAT scan. And then after they literally wheel me straight from the CAT scan to the OR. And there's, I kid you not, maybe 20 nurses just running around, like prepping things.
Right.
And I'm like, oh my God, happening. And I remember this one nurse, and I'm literally like 5 minutes from being like told that, okay, surgery needs to start. 5 minutes in, and the nurse comes up to my side table. She grabs my hands and the bleeding stopped. No more surgery. And she called me a miracle because I don't know how, I don't know like what in the world you did or what someone else did, but the bleeding legit just stopped in that period of time. I don't know when it did, but it did like right before that I was supposed to get surgery. And then they just called it off.
Yeah. They basically, after that CAT scan, they said surgery's not needed. We're going to keep her for swelling on the brain to monitor because you were in a lot of pain. But the relief of knowing that you did not have to have surgery, I think there was still a possibility, but not as high a possibility. So from that CAT scan, you were in the OR and then you got transferred to the ICU. And then the ICU that's when everything was coming out. That's when I shared all the news because Lacey's teammates were just like,
What's going on?
what's happening? What's going on? And Martin was the first person that showed up.
Yeah. Dad, you can talk about it. Cheers.
I don't know. You guys can't see it. If you're listening on a podcast, you can't see, but they're very emotional at this point. So it was a scary time, right? Surgery is, when you talk about surgery, it's pretty serious. There's a lot of things going through your head. Is her career over? Is this it? Now what? We've been gearing up to play in college softball, and then just one little episode could have ended it all. And you spoke about it. Something happened, divine, whatever you want to call it. Something happened where your brain stopped bleeding, and like where you didn't have to go under surgery, and you went into ICU. And then just the support, just the barrage of support. Mark came in, your teammates were coming in, visiting, Facebook.
Mark, he was so like lighthearted.
Hey, you shouldn't have left the change up over the plate.
Yeah. Fred was like, literally first thing he said was, like, you're going to be back. You're going to pitch again. And I just knew that I was going to come back. Like, I wasn't, after he said that, I was like, because I mean, something like that can, like, some players just be like, I can't play anymore. I can't pitch anymore. Like, I'm just tired.
And we'll get into that. We're gonna get into the mindset and having to come back and having line drives come back at you again, right?
Yeah.
But the support you got was tremendous.
Yeah.
You weren't on Facebook. You're 14 years old, and you're like, Facebook are for old people.
I wasn't allowed to be on my phone.
Exactly. But so mom shared it, and you just got the support from all the Mojo parents, from the
Everybody.
the Texas teams, the Georgia teams. Everybody was just reaching out, supporting family. It was great to see that the softball community is a community. It's a family. You guys are competing against each other, and you want to beat each other, but in the end, the softball community is actually really cool because they're just so supportive. They understand the process. I don't want to say process. They understand what you go through on a day-to-day basis. So pretty cool stuff. Here you guys are making me tear up because you guys are so emotional. But yeah, so next episode, we're going to get into the recovery mode and what that looked like. And you're still recovering, right? Whenever line drive goes by your head, there's probably some flashbacks, I bet.
It's so much better now, but high school's hard.
Yeah, that was all right. Emily, my wife,
Yes.
Lacey's mom, thank you for coming on and giving us your perspective on the whole thing. Lace, thank you for being vulnerable. Mom, thank you for being vulnerable.
When I see mom cry, I cry.
Yeah.
And I try not to cry, but I can't. People think like I'm some like this tough lady, and really not. I cry at commercials.
You do.
I do. I
The
cry at
movies.
dog movies. Yes.
Dog movies.
Dog movies.
But I'm not as tough as everybody thinks.
All right. I appreciate everybody listening. Give us a 5-star review. Give us some, I keep forgetting, it's not comments, but give us, right?
Yeah,
Give us ratings. Give us a 5-star rating and post a review and share it. Do all the things. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode, and we will catch you on the other side. Emily, I love you.
Love you.
Lacie, and I love you.
I love you.
My 21-year-old.
My birthday girl.